I'm Jonathan Tolentino, and this is my persuasive speech presentation. And for this topic, I chose about the implementing meaning in work and the difficulties that come in modern day when attempting to make work from something that you're passionate about. So, I am passionate about weekends. I love weekends. I after a long weekday of work, after I work in an ice cream place, it's after so much customer service and dealing with so many people and maintaining this place. Of course, I'd like to come back home and have recreational time, have time with my family, and have time to work on things that I'm passionately about. But why do we have such a love for weekends, and why can we not love weekdays? After all, we spend 19,000 hours of our lives, in average, inside of our workplace. That's a total of 10.2 years within our workplace. So, why can we not enjoy the weekdays? There is, ever since we go to American schools, we are taught that in order to no longer work a day of your life, you have to work for something that you love. And that is a very important thing that people follow from that on. Like, they're trying to find a job in which they find passionate, so it's a lot easier. Everything's facilitated. But there might be a flaw with this timeline of thinking, which I'd like to present to you. So, it was Adam Smith, the economist, who presented the idea that it is not because of the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. So, in this quote, he attempts to explain that people typically don't do things out of passion or desire to be good or to benefit the world or even to do something which they deem positive. People are mostly incentivized out of their own safety and their own desires to cover their own needs like food, housing, family, and things like that. Which got me thinking into how you can implement things like work-life balance in order to work with this. So I looked into it, and I looked into this company called this website called Harvard Business Review, which there was an article talking about work-life balance and how many people have this sort of simple way of thinking about their work and their life, which leads them to being very significantly unhappy. So whenever we think of like work and life balance, many people think just simply, oh, I need to care about these two. I need to care about my work as much as I care about my life. But the author of this article talked about how in order for it to be a much fulfilling thing, we must make it personal. We must do something that we care about. And the line of thinking that we're saying is that we too often look for something that something that we're passionate about, some sort of line of work that we're passionate about. It's kind of a fantasy, and we should really instead be looking for something to work which will help us cater our passions. So instead of looking for the magic recipe of something to help us completely mitigate the effort, but we should instead be more insightful and find more meaning in getting a career which will help us develop our passions. So her argument is that work is most fulfilling when you make it about yourself and it's not something external. Harvard Business Review also had an article about how they interviewed a couple people from London working at a couple enterprises, statistics and law, if I remember correctly, and they talked about how 78 of the people who they interviewed, the total people who they interviewed, generally felt dissatisfied with their career, but they had to do a lot of personal habits in order to cope with working there. under pretty bad conditions, which has they described. So a lot of the practices they did are it's a lot of self-oriented type of practice, like pausing, having a moment of quiet and time to in order to reflect on your values, your priorities, and emotional engagement to in order to understand what we care about. So again, a lot of going internal instead of like trying to find solutions for externally. Even so, as of recently, more and more people have started to find dissatisfaction in their careers. Um, and statistically, 30% of Americans find dissatisfaction in their careers, and a staggering 50% or more, and more so dissatisfaction with their day-to-day responsibilities and their payment, which goes to show that the external world still does matter, as there's some limitations to just how much internal motivation we can make. And as of the past 5 years, from 2015 to 2020, there was a wage increase of 0.18 cents, which is, as any economist would say, it's a staggering wage. And we've been seeing a lot of complications with how people get paid and treated in their job, which has made a lot of people not only dissatisfied with their work input, but generally be stressed and feel very negatively about their work. So maybe it's time that we all move on from this mentality of finding some sort of work which will make us happy and make us not feel like we're working anymore, and we should start prioritizing our life more and using work as a method to obtain a personal getting closer to our values and things we care about, but primarily also to facilitate and get our needs. Thank you.